Hi everyone, I'm back with another tag DIY video. I'm going to use some paper napkins to decorate these. I picked these napkins up at the Dollar Tree. The first thing I'm going to do is open up the napkin and I'm going to separate out the layers. There's usually 2 or 3 layers to paper napkins, and I just want the top one that has the images on it. I thought these butterflies were really pretty, and so I'm going to use one of those to decorate the smaller tag that I have. So I'm just going to lay it over the top of the tag to see kind of how I want it to be. I wanted to make sure that would all fit and to get a little bit of the writing on it. I've seen people use just Elmer's glue for this. I didn't have any Elmer's glue, so I'm going to use some Mod Podge. I'm going to put it on this plate, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water to this. That's going to change the glossy finish that Mod Podge usually has to more of a matte finish. And I'm just going to use a tiny bit. You don't need very much. Once I mix all this together, I will then just paint over the top of the paper napkin, which will cause it to stick to the tag. Now this was the first time that I tried this, and I should have cut out the butterfly image first because it made it really difficult to cut it out once the Mod Podge was on top, but I made it work, and I'm going to set it aside to dry and start on my next one. Again, I'm separating off the top layer, and I want to use one of the yellow birds and try and get a couple of the berries on there as well. So I'm going to see how I can line it up, and on this one I did cut it out first before I painted the Mod Podge on. And I also only used the Mod Podge for this one. I wanted to see exactly how shiny it would turn out. So these are dried, and I cut off the excess paper, but it's kind of rough along the edges, so I'm just going to use a nail file and file that down a little bit. Now this next one isn't actually a paper napkin, but I have these old Harper Bazar magazines, and inside these they came with a dress pattern for some of the dresses that are inside. And I wanted to make a tag using these images. So I'm going to open this up and go through it and pick out a few things that I'm going to layer one on top of the other on the tag. I went ahead and ripped out a few things, and for this one the paper is a little thicker, and so I'm going to paint some Mod Podge on the tag first before placing my first piece down. Once I have that down, I added some more Mod Podge, and usually I like when it gets a little wrinkled, but on this one I straightened it out a little bit on the top. That wrinkle was a little too obvious for me. Next, I'm going to start layering the other pieces on top. And I really liked how thin this was because the images can be seen through each other. They're kind of translucent, the paper, and I liked how that looked. On this bigger piece, I wanted to use the little figure word there, and then there's also a little arrow, so I tore it apart a little bit more just so it would fit onto the tag. Once I had each of the pieces down, I went back and added some more Mod Podge over the top and set it aside to dry, and then cut it out. I decided to add some stickers, and I have some fashion stickers, so I added some little, what do you call these, bobbins, I guess? They have the string on it, and then I added a couple of buttons. But you could add anything onto these tags. You could add ribbons or even enamel dots. You're only limited by your imagination. That is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye guys.